the podcast to fill my brain. Movies and Task, Reddit, Minute of Sports, betting $1 and Joel the Game, Quora and questions from real listeners, all that and more on Joel the Podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Alex.
And I'm Alex.
And this is our podcast,
Joel.
Well, here we are, episode 114. Obviously, everyone has listened to episode 113 before this episode is being recorded. I don't know why I'm saying that because it's obvious to everyone, but
Of course.
Anyway, we're here for episode 114. So thank you for joining us, everybody.
Yeah. It's great to be here. And let's begin.
How do we start episodes again?
We start
say this literally.
We start episodes by wondering how we start episodes, and I was trying to come up
I was
with
gonna say I
some,
feel like we say this every time.
bit, but then we just did this bit again, and let's get into it.
It's not a bit. We actually just don't know how we start episodes. Let's get into it. Today is January 25th as we're recording this. I guess I shouldn't have revealed that since now everyone knows that we didn't post the previous episode by the time we're recording this. But anyway, it's January 25th. Go ahead.
I blame everyone else's internet connection. I've actually had this uploaded for weeks.
Yeah, this is YouTube's fault.
Yep, for sure.
So blame YouTube. If you have any complaints, please send them to YouTube and not to us.
YouTube, the email is youtube@youtube.com. I've used that email for countless complaints that I've had over the years about YouTube's service of me personally, and gotten top-notch responses every time. I'm tempted to email youtube@youtube.com to see what happens.
I'm guessing it would be undeliverable.
Yeah. Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to have our listeners do it for us. So
right,
please,
obviously we wouldn't do that.
Send an email to youtube@youtube.com, and then send an email to us and let us know how it went. Where can they find our email, Alex?
You can find our email on our website, which is conveniently located at alexandalex@joelthepodcast.github.io/alexandalex@joelthepodcast.website/index.html. And just click on pretty much anything there, and it'll probably take you to a mail to for our email address.
You know, I've actually gone to that website so many times. So the other day, I was trying to figure out why my Amazon smart home devices that I won't name because it's listening to me and it would go off otherwise. But
the Amazon Echo.
Yes, but you know the word that you use to talk to it.
Alexa.
Yes, and when I had a problem with one of the devices, and so I was Googling that word, and when I typed ALEXA, my browser auto-completed to the rest of our website.
That's awesome.
So, just wanted to share that that tidbit. I hope that all of our listeners, anytime they have troubles with their nameless
because they've
Amazon
obviously all
devices,
gone to our website so frequently as well.
They'll be as gently amused as I was that day while I was being frustrated with the device, which, by the way, just needed a reboot of my router for some reason. So there's some troubleshooting tips just in case. Yeah.
My house has multiple Amazon Echoes in it. I think two. And one's in my sister's room, and one's downstairs in our kitchen. And the one downstairs in our kitchen uses the wake word Echo, and the one upstairs in her room uses the wake word Alexa. So it's like all the time that she's mixing, like she'll come down and be like, Alexa, and then nothing happens. I mean, Echo. Like, it's very funny.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know there's a variety of words that you can use. It's really interesting to me, I think, that you have multiple ones in the same location with different words, because it seems like that would be so easy to mix up. Like, is there a reason you did that? I mean, I'm sure it
Um,
wasn't your decision
I did not.
personally, but
I didn't. Yeah, it was not my decision personally. Um, I don't. I feel like there is a reason, and I don't remember. I don't know what it is, or don't remember what it is. It's probably something like, um, I don't know. I don't know. They changed the downstairs one because it was waking up when it shouldn't, or something like that. I forget
oh,
exactly what the situation was though. Um, so I don't. That's why. By the
yeah.
way, I mean it's been a long time since I set up an Amazon Echo, but back when I was setting up an Amazon Echo, there were three possible wake words, which were Alexa, Echo, and the third one is computer.
Yes.
Computer, what's the weather today? That one's
feels a
pretty funny.
little feels a little pretentious, personally.
Yeah. So you'll immediately be setting that your Amazon Echo to that after this podcast, right?
Yeah, just so I can use the word Alexa again without it, you know, listening to me.
Yes. All right. Should we do our sports minute?
Yeah, I mean, since it's been only 1 week since our last
Right,
episode,
as
there's
usual.
not a lot of sports news to go over, but surely we can fill a minute.
Yep. Ready?
Yep.
Well, obviously, the largest sports news is about Purdue football.
Oh yeah.
They finished the
Huge.
season. Good for them.
Yeah.
Um,
They got some good transfers coming in for next year. A couple guys from
did
Georgia
they
I saw. That'll be interesting.
did they beat Indiana at the end of the season? I think they did.
They
So
did beat
that's
Indiana.
pretty much the only important thing. And
Yet
also,
another
I've been
one
watching
and 0 season.
I've been watching the NFL, and anytime I see a player from Purdue, I'm like, Purdue legend.
Yeah.
And there's some good ones in the NFL now. So like for example, the Kansas City Chiefs have George Karlaftis,
Mm,
Purdue legend George Karlaftis. So
didn't realize
still
that.
a Purdue. Yeah, and the 49ers have what's his name? Raheem Mostert, who's also from
Yes.
Purdue. So
Yes.
Purdue legends are in the NFL playoffs.
Wow.
And also the basketball team is pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good. What a minute.
they were all right. Anyone needs to know what number they were.
Yep.
Um,
Nothing
so,
else of note has
anyway.
happened.
yeah, that's it. Um, so thanks for listening to our Sports Minute. I guess it's time to check our email.
Yeah.
Since obviously everyone is, as I said, everyone has listened to our previous episode and probably responded. So let's see. Do we have any new emails?
So we actually don't have any
Hmm.
any new emails.
That's crazy.
Kind of, you know, I'm gonna peel back the curtain here for a second. I'm trying to not take this as a personal offense.
Right.
But you know, I also don't want
I
to.
mean, to me, like, there's basically no difference between not receiving any emails and receiving emails that say things like, "You guys are the worst. I hate you." Like, this is pretty much the equivalent to
That's
that,
true.
I think.
That's very true. Um, and just the I started reading an old email and I got distracted.
Okay, great. Should we
My,
get into the episode?
I'm so desperate for emails that even emails from months ago.
Okay, let's read an email from like 2 years ago,
All right,
just for fun.
we've got plenty. Let's see. This one is closest to 2 years ago, sort of, and also has a very fitting opening line. This email comes to us from Cephalopod Master. The email is, of course, subjected, "I am a dumbass." Is subjected the
Mhm.
correct? I feel like that was right. That felt right. I'm going with it. Hello, Alex and Alex at Joel the Podcast. I'm excited, to say the least, to see the podcast return after a long, long week. Um, he says, also, I feel like I need to explain myself somewhat about last week's email when I gave you the 3-week notice with a November deadline. You missed that I did not specify the year. I meant November 2022. So clearly we've missed that deadline by a little ways by now. But
What was the deadline for?
I'm not sure. Let's see if the rest of the email tells us. When I talked about the hiatus, I was in fact referencing a 2-month break that resulted from that critical update in Alex's life that he will announce in August 2022, which presumably happened. Also, a minor correction for what Alex said in the podcast. Birds definitely have middle fingers. Otherwise, how would the NSA taunt conspiracy theorists who are suspicious of the birds? Lastly, I have bad news and good news. The good news is that I no longer seem to get Fox News as related videos on the side of our podcast. The bad news is that I now get recommended Ben Shapiro whenever I watch your podcast. So sorry about that. It may be because Alex said it's an ethical decision to take any means necessary any means possible to enrich yourself near the end of the podcast, but I'm not sure why it also made the Fox News go away. So, what a blast from the past there. Nice email to fill the void that I felt inside.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you, Cephalopod Master, for that email.
Yeah.
That kind of makes up for the fact that you slapped us in the face by not sending us any emails in the past week.
Yeah, at least that one was still a real winner 2 years later, so.
Yeah. I have no memory of reading that email the first time, too. That's pretty good.
I didn't know where it was going to go next. That was a very, very well constructed email.
Yeah.
It's great because
sometimes
I'll read them in advance because I get the notification, but obviously in this case I didn't remember what it was about, and just reading it live with no idea what was about to happen was really
pretty
nice.
Good.
So I should always cold read the email. That was, I think, the proof of that to me.
Yeah. Cool. So I hope we met whatever deadline that was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we definitely did, right? So
I very much like the fact that we just have no context for half of this email. I think that's pretty good. So, all right, should we get into the episode?
Yeah, speaking of things that are pretty good, here's our idea for this episode. It's Ask Reddit. We haven't done that in a while.
This is totally original idea. Yeah, we really haven't done it in a long time. And I don't know exactly why. Maybe we talked about it at one point, but it's in our theme song. So I feel like this is it's good to do it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I haven't listened to our theme song in a while. I guess our listeners probably heard it at the beginning of this episode, but we don't play it for ourselves at the beginning of each episode.
No, I'm trying to remember the words now to see if there are any other good ideas for episodes that we should keep in mind for the future.
Right.
Doesn't it go movies and Ask Reddit, Minute of Sports?
Minute of Sports, betting a dollar and Joel the game.
We haven't bet $1 in a while. I think we talked about this last time too.
Yeah. Hold on, there's another line though. Betting $1 and Joel the game. Something in questions from real listeners. What's the thing before questions? There's a word. Something's in questions from real listeners.
All this and more on Joel the Podcast.
Movies and
Ask Reddit.
Minute of Sports. Betting $1 and Joel the game. Maybe it's Quora.
Quora sounds right.
Quora and questions from.
I think
this is so funny because this must be really funny to the listeners because they probably just listened to it and get yelling at us they know exactly what it is. Yeah,
no, I'm pretty sure that's right.
All right, well,
go ahead and laugh at us.
If we're wrong, send us an email.
Yeah.
Or if we're right, send us an email of congratulations.
Right.
But if we're wrong, send us an email. Just be nice about correcting us.
Right.
Like I said, very sensitive. So anyway, yes, we're gonna. So what we're gonna do today is we've before the episode we went through Ask Reddit and just pulled a bunch of questions that we think might be fun to talk about, and we're just gonna talk about them. So it's not quite advice. It's just questions, and you'll hear our opinions, which are definitive facts as being the best. So Do you wanna read the first question?
Sure, I'm really excited about this one. I feel like I've been thinking about this for a long time actually, and this kind of gives me the outlet to talk about it. So the
Hmm.
question is, what are some most accepted health myths? So
Right,
here's our
and
chance to.
this yes, and for everyone, this question comes to us from the user I made pyramids.
Ooh, I didn't even like click on it and go back to the.
Yeah, I think you know how we normally make up names for our just to anonymize our advice questions.
Uh huh.
For this one, we don't have to make up names, and I think maybe for some inappropriate ones, we could just make up a name. But I don't know how many of them are going to be inappropriate. But um,
I mean, I'm
yes,
sure there'll be plenty. But yeah, I made pyramids. That's a pretty good username. I can only imagine that I make pyramids was already taken because that is definitively the better username. I think you would agree.
yes. Although there are no new pyramids that are appearing, so I guess his point is like I made the pyramids that exist,
Yeah. Well,
and
should the username have been then I made the pyramids,
that was probably taken.
just so we understand the
And so
magnitude of
I
the
guess
accomplishment.
right, if this guy is the maker of the pyramids, does that mean he's an ancient alien?
I
Because
hope
I don't
so.
think people could have made the pyramids. They didn't have the technology back then.
Let's see. This person
Math
has
hadn't
been a
been invented
Redditor for
yet.
1 month.
Oh,
Interesting.
all
Anyway,
right.
let's
Well,
get to this
I know you wanted
question.
to talk about. I know you wanted to talk about the question, so let's hear it. What's your opinion? What are some of the most accepted health myths?
Yeah, I think so. This has been bothering me for a really long time, actually,
Hmm.
because I hear this like effectively daily, right?
I'm sorry. Before you go on, I just want to let everyone know that we are not doctors, and this is not medical advice, but it is objectively correct. So take it as gospel. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So, um, essentially, everybody always says this to me because of my physical appearance.
Uh huh.
And people will like come up to me on the street or like in the store, and it's really frustrating because it's always the
Hmm.
same thing. And they'll come up to me and they'll say, "Hey, did you know that it's really unhealthy to be that tall?" And it's not like I'm tall,
Right.
but it's like that tall, the height that I am, the specific height.
Right. The specific height. Right.
Right. And it's because people can tell, right? Like they'll see, me compared to them, right? Everybody apparently has this innate sense, and it's super annoying. It's like the most annoying thing. They'll come up to me, and it's always like that exact phrase. It's unhealthy to be that tall. And I'm not sure what they want me to do about it, is the thing.
Hmm.
So, first of all, it's not unhealthy to be this tall. Um, it's actually
Well, let
unhealthy
me
to
ask you
be
a
about
question. Are
3 millimeters shorter than I am.
So you're not unhealthy right now, or
Yeah, no,
are you healthy right now?
I'm perfectly healthy. I've never
Okay,
been
great. Just
unhealthy in
checking.
my life.
Okay, good.
Right. And so
But it's the 3 millimeter difference. So just out of curiosity, do you know what would happen if you were 3 millimeters shorter?
I just, so many diseases I would imagine. Like, I guess it's not so there was a time, by almost by definition, right? There was a time when I was exactly 3 millimeters shorter than I am today. Um,
Sure.
and luckily it was very brief because, it was like,
Right.
I was probably a teenager or something and kind of growing, you know, regularly, I suppose. Um,
Right.
but there was one, I don't know, maybe 3 day stretch, maybe a week, something like that, where I just felt like I was, instance from death constantly.
So just a minute ago, when you said you've never been unhealthy in your life, that was a lie. Then
Well, it wasn't a lie because I was still, because I knew, right?
it was
Like I was
like
like in the
it was like
moment.
implied, like I've never been unhealthy in my life except when I was 3 millimeters shorter.
You could say that. You could also, I mean, I still think, personally, knowing that, from birth I've known kind of roughly the height I would reach. But since I didn't
Like as
feel
we all do.
right, since I didn't feel, bad or sick at the time, I knew it wasn't going to be that height. So,
Right.
I even as you're kind of crossing that threshold, I have to imagine it takes some time to really set in and give you all the, you know, diseases that it does.
As someone has never and will never be that height,
Yeah.
I didn't know about this, so this is like good to know. Do you have any advice for listeners who are this height or soon will be?
I mean, there's probably not too many people listening that are this height because surely you're dead by now. If you're
Right.
not, my condolences for your unlucky lot in life, and there is hope for you. I think if you've not yet reached this height, that you can, I don't know, drink a lot of Red Bull or something to not grow. What do you do to not grow?
I think drink Red Bull is the common answer to that question. um, don't drink milk. That strengthens your bones.
That's true.
I wonder if there's some like don't grow juice that you can drink.
You can probably, like, if you're not that strong, you can probably try and squat like 400 to 600 pounds one time, and kind of like screw up some bones and joints and stuff, so
Sure.
that you're not capable of getting that big.
You could get your legs amputated.
That's
or
true.
parts of your legs.
That's true. Maybe if you do find yourself getting close to this height, just try and like stand on your toes or something.
Sure.
Trick the universe. It is kind of dumb.
It sounds yeah, that's true. It sounds difficult, but it'd probably work.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just sit all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's another pretty solid answer. That's pretty sure, the inventor of wheelchairs, literally was quoted once as saying this is to help all the people who are the sick height or whatever it is.
Right. What would really suck is if you were that height when sitting, because then you would never be able to sit.
Right.
You would have to like lay or stand all the time.
Just imagining like, laying down in a chair or, like just slouching so much. For all the listeners, I don't know if you can tell, but I've now slouched down in the chair.
He is fully probably his 10% of his back is touching the back of his chair now.
It's really uncomfortable, actually. That's probably why it's bad for the people that are that height.
Yeah, I would say. Oh dang! I had something else to say, but I can't remember. What were you gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say I feel like I've ranted about this for long enough. Did you have any thoughts on this question?
Yes. But I really had another joke to say about that one. But anyway, I can't remember what it was.
All the listeners can just imagine how good it was.
Yeah. Let's, in post, we'll add the joke here. Ready? Oh, that was so funny. Anyway, so for me personally, one health myth that really just bugs me that everyone believes it is that you should wash your hands. Like, honestly, kind of related to that is just the idea of germs in general, like being like little things that you can't see. Like, honestly, like, can you believe people actually believe that? That is ridiculous. Like, you could tell them, like, there's no evidence that it's true. People are just told that, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just have to wash my hands and wear a mask and, treat germs like they are these little things that no one can see. Like, honestly, if you accept that germs are so small that no one can see them, how did anyone discover them?
Exactly.
Checkmate. Done.
And how even if there are small germs, how is washing your hands going to help? Because the water also isn't going to be able to see the germs. They're too small.
Right. Or the soap.
Exactly.
So, anyway, it just bugs me. Obviously, I never wash my hands for this reason. And I try not to say things to people when I see them washing their hands because I don't want to like get into a lot of arguments. But yeah, it just bugs me. Excuse me. All right, cool. Any other thoughts about this question?
Yeah, I'm really curious. Not specific to this question, but just in general for this episode, I think it'd be fun if our listeners wrote in to tell us their answers to some of these questions.
That's true.
And then in 2 years or so, we can look back at those emails and be amused. So
Exactly. Yeah. So send us honestly to any of these questions. Send us your answer.
yep.
So anyway, we'll move on to this next question. Here, this question comes to us. Let me open up the question so I can see who it comes to us from. From user Scranton Spanker. Okay.
What?
And the question. and the question. The question is, what items do you see in grocery stores that you cannot believe people actually purchase? Yeah, so for me, I immediately thought of actually most items in a grocery store.
Yeah.
Like cereal and vegetables and meat. I mean, for me personally, when I go to the grocery store, all I buy is like the sodas that are in those little refrigerators by the checkout.
Yeah, those and the
feel like
candies
that's
on the shelves there.
Right. And yeah, that's the good stuff. Like, why are you buying like bread, or milk? Like when you can buy that just seems like a waste of money that could be spent on soda and candies, and of course the tabloid magazines that are by the checkout.
Yeah, I mean, why do you think they put all that stuff up front? That's what everybody's there for.
Right. That's the best stuff.
Right.
On an unrelated note, I have like a large cabinet full of different types of gum in my house. Anyway, what about you?
What are any way away from that? How'd you get so much
my bad.
gum?
Sorry. It's probably. I mean, I don't know. I honestly, like every time I go to the grocery store and I'm by the checkout, there's like a whole bunch of gum there.
Sure.
And like obviously it just looks so good. Like there's different flavors, it's very colorful. Plus gum is like no calories. It's I want to say the word I'm trying to think of is free, but that's obviously not what I mean.
It's just free.
It's free calorie wise, free of calories.
No. This is actually a little known life hack. You can just take the gum because you don't eat it,
Really?
so you don't have to pay.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. Is that the same true of the magazines too? Because you don't eat them.
I mean, if you don't eat the magazines, I guess, but.
And actually, come to think of it, you don't eat the drinks either. You drink them.
Wow, I've actually.
This is gonna change the whole way that I grocery shop.
Yeah, I used to spend so much money on groceries. Now it's.
I used to spend easily $10,000 a month on soda, candies, and tabloid magazines. That is all gonna go towards something else now.
Incredible.
And by the way, just to bring it full circle, another thing that at grocery stores that I can't believe people spend money on: soap.
Soap, yeah.
Yeah, because germs aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've got one more for you.
Can I say anyway now? Yeah. Let's hear yours.
Well, say anyway so that I can do it.
Anyway, what's yours?
Yeah. So I know we kind of already covered this by basically saying everything in the grocery store.
Right.
But I just want to talk through this experience I had a couple of years ago because honestly I'm still a little scarred by it. I thought, I was like, there's got to be something to the rest of this store, right? Like, why is everybody getting all this stuff? Like, is it good? Do I like to eat it? And so I think, obviously, aside from the answer of literally almost everything in the grocery store, my more specific answer has to be flour, because that stuff tastes awful.
Interesting. I've never heard of it. What is it?
Yeah, so it's this like white powder stuff, and you like get it in a big bag.
Like sugar.
So it's like sugar, but it's worse because sugar tastes good, kind of. Right. I mean, it mostly tastes good if you put it in stuff. But flour,
sugar like by itself is fine, but yeah, that's why you put it in candy and soda and stuff. Go on.
Exactly. Yeah, you take your spoonful of sugar, dissolve it in the Coke, and shake it up or whatever.
Right.
But flour mixed with stuff is still bad. Like, what's the point of flour?
Mm.
If you try and eat a spoonful of it, you like choke because you just like it's this dry, like it absorbs all the moisture in your mouth. You're just like coughing this cloud of like dust. It's a mess.
That does sound very unpleasant.
It's disgusting. And then you try and mix it in with like your waters or your sodas or I don't know, coat your M&Ms in it or something like that. Try and like melt
Right.
the chocolate or something to mix it together, and it makes everything worse. It's just so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why everybody buys it.
So I mean, so again, never heard of flour before, but like just a question: have you ever thought about like maybe it's not meant to be eaten, maybe it's meant to be inhaled, like cocaine?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Wait a minute, my computer's got low battery. I think it's just because I came in here, set it on the desk, and then like tossed the power cord in the vicinity of my extension cord here. I'm gonna have to unplug my earbud from my ear. Unplug. I'm gonna have to take my earbud out of my ear to go plug it in, so I'm not gonna be able to hear you.
Yeah, Nathan's definitely a normal human that
Yeah,
has
like, talk
normal
the
ears that
entire
earbuds
time.
are put into. Definitely,
You
he is not a
probably won't
robot
talk, so
that
I
has to
won't miss
plug
anything. I
earbuds
saw you
into
moving
his
your
ear.
mouth,
So
though. I don't think my plan
I just wanted to
worked.
say that for the record. Cool. I'm glad you solved that problem.
Yep.
Anyway, do you think flour is meant to be inhaled?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And genuinely, I can't see any other option. So like that must be
Right.
it. And maybe I'll give it another try. But honestly, like, is it even worth the effort? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Probably just stick with the soda and candy and gum.
Yeah.
I would say stick
And
with
the
the stuff that
magazines.
works, and the sugar.
Yes. Sugar's fine.
Sometimes I'll just put the sugar on the magazine and just lick it off.
Incredible.
All right, let's move on to the next. Why don't you read the next question?
Yeah, next up here. All right, this is another really good one. I think these are all really good, but this might be one of the top choices. Let's see. This one comes to us from candidate-amusing 757. That's an auto-generated username if I've ever seen one. Question is, what is really dangerous, but everyone treats it like it's safe?
Good question. You know what comes to my mind for this one is driving. Like, okay, so you'll have people that are afraid of like to fly on planes, right? They'll be like,
Yeah.
what if it crashes? That will no problem get into a car.
Sure.
With like someone they don't know, like someone who they don't know if they're qualified to drive it even. It's pretty. And by the way, this is like a legit answer. Like driving is like, I mean, it's relatively pretty safe. Like most people haven't like gotten injured in car accidents, and people drive all the time. But like compared to like other things, like it's crazy how dangerous cars are, and how we just let like basically anyone drive a car
Yeah.
as long as you pass like a very basic and easy test once in your life.
It's been especially true here, and I've been thinking about that actually a lot recently because of the weather we've been having. So we talked about this a little bit, but in the past like 2 or 3 weeks or so, it's been pretty cold and snowy here pretty regularly. And so like number one, when it was first snowing and it was like before any of the roads had been cleared or anything, like most people I think do a pretty decent job of like driving carefully, but especially like this area, kind of the bigger cities in the region, there are a lot of like transplants and a lot of people coming from like the south or the west that don't have any experience in the snow, and so it's like extra interesting to kind of see how that all works itself out. And I feel like people get like pretty confident pretty quickly, and you end up having a lot of issues because nobody's really like. So I was parked at a light. I was stopped at a light, and somebody was coming down the street, and it was like a hill that they were on. They were coming down the hill, and they were trying to turn left onto the road where I was, and so I'm sitting here like perpendicular to them watching, and they come down the hill like pretty quickly on a road that hasn't been plowed yet, and just
Yep.
slide clear through straight down. They're like, because they were trying to turn left, they went into the other lane. Luckily there weren't any cars there, but they like managed to get themselves stuck on the like curb area, wiggled themselves to be completely perpendicular to the road, and then eventually managed to get, turned left the way they were trying
Wow.
to go in the first place. It's kind of
Uh-huh.
a mess, and I don't think people really appreciate it as much, um, especially in a place where lots of people, may live in that kind of climate but have not lived for their lives.
Yeah, that's a good. So this is like a not that interesting of a story, but I'll tell it anyway.
Perfect.
So when I was in a few years ago, I got into an accident because it started raining really hard while I was driving, and I hydroplaned and lost control of my car.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like always very wary about driving in the rain, especially when it starts raining hard. But one day in our senior year of college, I don't know if you remember where my house was that I lived in, but it's right near one of the roads. I forget which road it is. Kind of turns to and comes right into like an intersection right near the electrical engineering building.
Yeah, I think I know what you're
Um,
talking about.
um, and there was a day where it was just pouring rain. Like rain was coming down so hard, and I was watching these cars like fly down this like seemingly fly down this road towards this intersection. I'm like, and there's this big puddle right near that curve, and I'm like, somebody is gonna hydroplane their car and run into this like railing like in between the
Yeah,
two sides of the street. Which fortunately, at least while I was watching, no one did that.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just crazy how reckless some people can be. Um, okay. Anyway, do you have any answers for this question? What's something that's actually dangerous that people treat as safe?
I feel like I'm in this like headspace now where I'm not trying to generate a joke, and so I'm just drawing a huge blank. Um, Something that is really dangerous, but everyone treats it like it's safe. All right, here's one
Here,
actually. Brushing your teeth.
okay.
I don't think anybody really appreciates when you have that kind of like stick thing that you're repeatedly, jabbing into the back of your throat.
Mm,
There's a lot of, like what if you were to trip and accidentally eat the toothbrush, you know?
that would be unfortunate. You could definitely choke in that scenario.
Yeah, I have to tell this story. Um, it might take me a minute to kind of get through it because it does bring back some pretty unfortunate memories. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
when I was 3 years old, I got a hold of an adult-sized toothbrush, um, and was kind of like joking around brushing my teeth, and like I was, running around the house like you do as a kid, um, and and I was holding the toothbrush like, pretending to brush my teeth. Um, I accidentally went into, like, I was turning the corner and I was trying to like, I was going down the hallway in the house where I lived at the time. It's kind of a weird hallway where it has like a kind of an angle around, and you would get back into a bedroom after you like swerved around this corner. But if you kept going straight, you'd be in the bathroom. So I was trying to angle
Mm.
around in the bedroom, because I was like trying to flop on the bed or whatever with this toothbrush. But I accidentally went into the bathroom, and with the toothbrush in my hand, I stood there in front of the sink for a full 2.5 minutes, actually brushing my teeth. And then afterwards, I like found the floss and used the floss. It was, I mean, a really kind of disturbing moment of my life as I look back on it. How close I was to danger that day. I would have been fully, much much safer continuing to just play around with it, jump
Mm-hmm.
on the bed, whatever. Who cares? Put it in my
Right.
hand, fling it around, whatever. But yeah, it's kind of jarring to look back, and think, what might have happened that day.
I'm glad you survived.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing that I feel like people don't really respect how dangerous it is sleeping. I mean, if you think about it, how many people die in their sleep? A lot of people die in their sleep, and
Yeah.
yet all of us are like, you know what? I'm just gonna go to sleep tonight, and I'll get up tomorrow morning.
Just leaving it entirely to chance.
It's Yeah, it's one of those survivorship bias things of like, well, I've never died in my sleep, so
Yeah.
surely I won't die in my sleep tonight.
Right. Right.
But it's something you always got to be vigilant for. That's why I always have a doctor observe me while I sleep. That way, if I start dying, he can wake me up.
just wake you up and then you're fine.
No. Because if I'm dying in my sleep and I wake up, obviously I'll stop dying because the sleep is the cause of is what's causing me to die.
Incredible.
All right. Anything else for this one?
I don't think so. Let's move on.
All right. I want to go over to this one here. This question comes to us from the user PlayForFun22. And the question is, if you find shoes in a parking lot and take them, it's fine. If you find a car that's running and you take it, it's theft. At what point does an item switch from finders keepers to theft? This is an excellent question, and I feel like we would not be doing our jobs as like formers of public opinion if we didn't really talk about this and consider, what is it okay to take and what is it not okay to take.
Right. It's kind of our public duty to conclusively establish the line here, right? So.
Right. So let me ask you this first. Would you agree with the first part of the question that if you find shoes in a parking lot and take them, it's fine?
Yes, that's always okay. If there are shoes in a parking lot, it's fine.
And what if they're on someone's feet?
Still okay. I mean, as long as you're, reasonably bigger than they are, because it's kind of the the law of
law of averages.
Yeah, exactly.
Meaning average people get their shoes taken by bigger people. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're capable of taking the shoes from the person, that just means that nature intends for you to take the shoes from people,
right?
Based on your larger size.
Murphy's
and
Law.
Therefore, it's still okay. Yeah.
Okay, and so would you agree with the second part? If you find a car that's running and you take it, it's theft.
It's tricky. It is tricky because what if it's been there and it's been running for like 3 days straight?
Right.
Then
I feel like it's a public service for you to take it.
Right. It's just been sitting there, polluting the air. You should probably put it somewhere else.
Also, what if it's your car?
That's true. It's not always theft if you find a car that's running and take it.
Let me tell this story because this is by the way 100% true story. So this is when I was I'm not joking. This is 100% true. So when I was living in New York, I went to a movie one time, and I parked outside the movie theater, went inside, and I watched the movie. And as I was leaving, I realized my car keys weren't in my pocket. And so I go back into the theater, take out my flashlight, and I'm like looking all around my seat, can't find anything. I go to the guest services at the movie theater, be like, hey, has anyone turned in keys that they found? They were like, no. I'm like, crap, this is bad. Not only are my car keys missing, but also my apartment keys are attached to these car keys.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, the only thing I can think of now is maybe I dropped them outside as I was walking in, so I'm gonna retrace the steps to my car.
Right.
So I go outside and I start walking to my car. I'm looking at the ground, and finally I get to my car and I look up, and my car is running. Fully keys in the ignition, my car is running.
That's amazing.
And I honestly was so creeped out. I was because I just couldn't. Now, in retrospect, I assume that I just left the car running the entire time and no one stole it.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was just it is impossible that I left my car running this entire time. Like somebody must have like found my keys and come and started my car and then left. Like I was like checking the back seat, checking the trunk. Like is someone like hiding in my car?
Yeah.
Anyway, so sometimes when you find a car that's running, it's yours and it's not theft for you to take it.
Wow, very very relevant story.
Yeah, thank you.
Great.
So anyway, all right. So we've established that taking shoes is fine. Taking a car is usually theft.
Right.
Not always, but usually.
Right.
So where do you think the line is? Like, what's your thought on like how much money does something have to be worth, or is there some other thing besides the value that makes these things different?
Yeah, I think we're, kind of in agreement that whatever it is would be closer to the car on the spectrum. Like if you found an entire outfit, like shirt and pants, clearly that's also, fine. If you found
Fair game.
Yeah, if you found like a stripped down like car chassis, like with no wheels or engine or anything, like
Right, you could easily take that.
I guess it would be fine. It might be a little difficult to carry away, but So like both of those are pretty clearly okay. So the line is honestly pretty close to running car.
So let me ask you this: if you find a car that's not running, is it okay to take it?
If you can find the keys, it's okay. Because anybody who doesn't want their car to be taken would have, taken sufficient steps to secure the keys.
Right. So if you find their keys, it's basically like the person is inviting you to take it.
Yeah, they've like offered it, effectively.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, I guess that's sort of the line is like, is it a car or kind of equivalently valued item, and was it offered to you?
Sure.
Or, not even offered. Like in the case of the shoes, right? Nobody's offering you the shoes; they're just there. So the question does say switch from finders keepers to theft. So like finders keepers is clearly the driving principle here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good evaluation of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't think of anything to add, although I do want to kind of read some of the actual comments on this real Reddit post. Top comment, OP, are you stealing shoes regularly?
Yeah, it's like, how common is that to just find shoes in a parking lot? Why was that their example?
Yeah. Crazy guy 123 says, it's not fine, but a car can be identified and a pair of shoes can't. That's why. If you can find the owner, you return it.
That's true. If you can't be held accountable, it's totally fine. Regardless of what it is. So I think here's my actual answer then, is that it's okay unless the car has a customized license plate on it, because the person was clearly trying to label it as their car.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see
Right.
how people could disagree with that. Like if you're, maybe a less morally upstanding citizen, you may be willing to overlook a customized plate. You might read the plate and it's like, it says Packers fan or whatever, and you're like, wow, what a coincidence, and you steal the car.
Right, I'm a Packers fan, so I can take this.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing around here, honestly. Number one,
Just find
theft.
idling cars with Packers fan license plate holders.
Yeah, you may have heard about how there were a bunch of Kia and Hyundai thefts in Milwaukee. That's actually because they all had Packers license plate frames.
Actually, the fun thing about the Packers is that they're a publicly owned team. Like they're owned by people.
Yeah.
Like a stock, and so I think it's actually legal for any fan that owns a part of the Packers to go onto the field. And
like during the games?
Yeah, I mean, you're the owner.
I feel like the Packers should be a lot better if they could just have like 100 people rush the field around the ball carrier and then just like.
Well, okay, sorry, to be clear, I don't think it would be legal in the football game, but I'm saying they couldn't be arrested for it.
I see. Okay.
They would just like if they refused to leave the field, nothing could be done about it.
Interesting.
So if you want to have some fun, buy a share of the
Buy a
Packers
share in the
and
Packers.
and go stand on the field. I promise nothing will happen.
You have our guarantee that you will be fine, legally speaking.
But we're not lawyers, and this is not legal advice. But you can take it. You can take our word for it.
Great. All right.
All right. You want to read another question?
Yeah. Let's.
I don't
keep
have
going.
anything else on that.
All right. I feel like we're getting close to the end. Let's pick one of these to close on and save the rest for later. Let's do this one. This one at the end. Oh, interesting. This is from user Milwaukee Blues, which I'm a little confused by. I thought at first that it was Milwaukee Bucks, which would make a little more sense, but now I'm just confused. Anyway, the question is, what's the biggest animal you think you could beat in a fight?
This is a good question. For the record, I've asked a lot of people this question, and I've got some. Most people, when you ask them this question, they just say like dog, and it's really lame, which is unfortunate. But there's some good answers out there. Like I think I could probably take a panda. Pandas are pretty big.
That's true.
And basically helpless. Basically helpless already. So. Cow is another common answer that I like to give.
Cow's a good one. Here's the thing, though: is the cow or panda in that case like angry at you? Does it know that it's fighting? Does it want to be fighting?
In my imagination, no. Like it doesn't like go into the fight like.
So it's just like
wanting to fight
in a
you.
neutral state.
If you
right,
if I just like came
it.
up to a cow and tried to kill, right?
Right.
I mean, as soon as you try and attack it, it's obviously gonna fight back.
It'll react.
Except for a panda, which is totally helpless.
Of course.
But sorry, I one time read a I don't know if it was a Reddit comment or something about a person who just absolutely hated pandas. And it's just like, cause like they're so lazy, They have to be like, it takes so much effort for scientists to like get them to breed.
Yeah.
Because they're just so lazy. So anyway, that is probably top answers. Oh, and another common one that I think is pretty obvious is gorilla.
Yeah.
Gorilla seems like pretty easy to beat for obvious reasons.
Right. They've got, wimpy legs. You could definitely kick a gorilla much harder than it could kick back. And as we all know, that's the way to win a fight with any of these animals, really. You can try all your fancy arm moves, but just a big kick to the head is all it takes.
Yeah, and I can't think of a single reason why I'd have difficulty kicking a gorilla in the head.
No.
And killing it that way.
No, for sure not.
So
I think my answer to all of this, with that in mind, is whale. Really, any kind of whale, I guess. So just pick the biggest whale.
So presumably you're fighting this whale outside of water, I'm guessing?
It would have to be on the beach, because otherwise I don't think I could land a very good kick.
The nice thing about whales is that they're mostly, like, their head isn't very well delineated from their body, so there's like a lot of like effective kicking area.
Absolutely.
In order to kill them.
Yeah, that's why that's why whales are endangered, is because when you kick them, they die instantly, and it's just so easy to do.
It's actually really hard to kick them because most of them live in the water.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's why there's any whales left at all, right? Is because they stay in the water. But if they ever come on land, people just kick them and they die.
Right, that's the only reason they would die from going on land. Good point.
Yeah, it's actually, you'll see a lot of those videos of people like banding together to rescue a whale that's like beached, and they'll like dig a channel behind it so some water comes up or whatever, and they'll try and like push it back into the water, and you see a lot of success stories of people like helping out the whales. But what you don't see are the 95% of instances where somebody kicks the whale, even if it's just by accident, and it just dies instantly. You know, because
Yeah,
that's
it
not
dies
that's not a
instantly.
good
It's so
YouTube
tragic.
video. That's not a good like
Yeah.
wholesome morning news show.
Right. Exactly.
Another whale's been
So
kicked to death.
let me ask you a tangentially related question to this conversation.
Yeah.
So you know, like the cartoon image of a whale, like when you imagine like a cartoon whale,
Yeah.
where it's like got the little tail and then it gets like big.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Do any whales actually look like that? I feel like whales do not actually look like that in any way. And if that's the case, why is that the cartoon image of a whale?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Like, what is the thing that most looks like that? And I think the answer is probably like some really small fish. Because all the
Right,
big fish,
like
and
that
like whales and stuff,
that
they're all kind
right,
of like
that is that
stretched
shape.
out, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So maybe it's just whoever first made the cartoon of a whale, no idea what a whale looked like, but they had like a little beta fish or something, and they're like, well,
Mm.
obviously a whale doesn't look just like this, but they both swim around, so they probably look fairly similar.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's
Sorry,
my
Laura
theory.
just came down here and grabbed a jump rope.
To like take outside.
I
you
don't
said
think
it's
she's going
warmer there.
outside.
It's probably dark though.
It's night. It's night. Yeah.
All right, if you're
Um,
Laura listening to this later, please email us. What were you doing?
yeah. To let us know. The fans want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt. So yeah, the person probably just saw a normal fish and was like, "This is what a whale looks like, but bigger."
Right.
Yeah. They probably had a vague description of what a whale looked like. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all cartoon whales were just drawn based on that first one.
Yeah.
So
That's
makes sense.
That's how cartoons work. You heard it here.
Yes. All right. So we're at about 57 minutes. You want to do one more?
Yeah, we could squeeze another one in. Why not?
All right. We're gonna go with this one. This one comes to us from the user select_joke_6434, and this post currently has net zero score, like upvote downvote, and
Whoa.
349 comments. And the question is, people who shower in the morning, why? So I guess my first question is, do you shower in the morning?
I do shower in the morning.
And I do too, for the record. And what would be the reason that you shower in the morning?
I shower in the morning because during the night, as I like lay down in various ways, my like head pushes on the pillow. It makes my hair like weird.
Look really funny.
Yeah, so you like wake up in the morning and my hair looks bad, and right now my hair is kind of like long. So if I don't get it arranged correctly, it's gonna be like weird all day. And so if I'm gonna go through all the effort to like get my hair wet to comb it into place, I might as well do that in the shower because that's what the shower is for. And it happens that my hair care routine presumably cleans off the rest of my body incidentally, and so I don't feel the need to shower.
Just for the
later.
record, for those who can't see, Nathan's hair is about 3 feet long, I would say, like going down his back.
Right.
So definitely understand why you would need a lot of effort to get that to look good.
Yeah. Maybe I should start braiding it. I feel like that might help with then I wouldn't need to shower at all because there would be no reason to.
Right. For me, the reason that I shower in the morning is because I sleep in a pile of mud.
Okay.
And like if I showered at night, I would just immediately get dirty again.
Right. Right.
So like I shower in the morning so that I'm not walking around all day covered in mud.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things about the mud bed, and I've been tempted to try it. I was like so close this past holiday we were booking a place to stay down in Florida where we were staying, and I was like I was really tempted to go for a mud bed place. I was just kind of cautious about how it might be in the warm humidity down there. I feel like that was maybe not the best atmosphere for a mud bed. So as a user, what do you think?
Oh, it's great. It's great for your skin. Number one,
Sure.
your skin is really helped by it somehow, I'm sure. Number two, it just like feels really good. It's like it's kind of hard to explain without sounding gross, but just having like something slimy covering your whole body is actually really nice.
Right.
Um, and then third, it's really good at regulating your temperature. Like maybe you struggle with being too warm or too cold at night. And mud, just like your body's naturally designed to like work with mud, because that's like how primitive humans, they just slept in mud.
Of course.
Your body's naturally inclined to regulate its temperature much more naturally when you sleep in mud.
So let me
So
ask.
those
you
are the
this
positives, I would say.
as like a follow up to kind of optimize, right? So like, are you still sleeping in one of those like full body suits even in the mud bed, or do you? So is there some other technique?
I usually sleep in. I'm not 100%. I'm guessing this is not what you meant by full body suit, but I usually sleep in just like the vest. I usually take the jacket off, so I have like the
Sure,
vest,
sure,
the
sure.
tie, and the dress pants. And I don't wear shoes. I leave the socks on, but I don't wear the shoes.
Interesting.
So I have about four sleeping suits
Yeah.
that I cycle through because obviously sleeping in mud they get pretty dirty.
Right.
So I have to be washing them
Right.
pretty frequently. So hope that answers your question.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I also got my fourth sleeping suit recently. Actually, there was a time not too long ago where I was like four. Why would I even need two? Because that's what I had, and I would always
Right.
just use the same one. But I've been working my way up steadily. It's been very nice, and so yeah, maybe I'm
Mhm.
ready for mud bed.
Yeah, you should tell you what you should do is you should just find a hotel in your area
Yeah.
that has a mud bed and just like spend a weekend there, and try it out and see what you think, and then you can decide whether you want to. Because buying a bed is like a big investment, so
Yeah. You gotta make
you want
sure.
to make sure you like it first.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, cool. Any other thoughts about why you shower in the morning?
Um. I just kind of reflecting on it. I still think it's definitely true what I've said so far, but there is something to be said, about just like starting the day wet.
Hmm.
You know, it used to be every morning when
Right.
it rained, I'd get that little extra bonus, but it's right there in your bathroom. Why not take advantage? You can start
Right.
the
And
day
I'm
wet
sure
every day.
Shelby loves it when first thing in your morning when you see her, you just like shake your head like this
Oh yeah.
and all the water just like a dog and all the water just like it gets everywhere that she gets the additional bonus of being wet too.
Yes, my 3 foot long hair after coming out of the
Right.
shower being wet, it weighs like 15 pounds, and I'm just flinging it around. Um, I've actually broken several lamps in the bedroom that way.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that covers all of our Ask Reddit questions. Thank you for listening, everybody. If you have an Ask Reddit question that you want us to talk about on the show, please send it to us. Or if you have a thought about any of the questions that we read today, also feel free to send in your thoughts. If you have any opinions about the show, please be nice, but send them in. If you have any fun stories about your life, do not send those. We are not interested in your life. But I don't know. Any other final closing invitations, thoughts, concerns,
Yeah, I think we would also
unasked for opinions?
we would accept any fictional stories you'd like to share.
Right.
Any gambling advice that you would like to share? I am pretty deeply in the red at this point, and so I feel like basically any strategy has to be better than what I'm using. So yeah, please do give me some of those. If you've got any anecdotes that some of your family members have shared with you recently about their lives, definitely not your life, about their lives. I would be curious as long as it's like an 8 out of 10 or better.
Right.
Do please be kind of discerning about that. We don't want our inbox just flooded with a lot of trash. Um,
Right.
if you've
We will shut down the podcast if that happens.
we'll quit podcasting forever. We'll shut down the email, shut down the website. It's all over. If you've got any recommendations for how best to snort flour, like that'll be something that I probably try.
Or if you have any other uses for flour besides snoring, like we're just kind of speculating
That's true.
that that's what it's
true.
supposed to be used for. But if you have like some use for it, that would be good.
Yeah. If you've got any, let's see, what else do we want to ask for?
I think that's probably good.
All right, sounds like the podcast is over.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were. Anyway, I was reading something else. All right. Yeah, the podcast is over. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Alex.
I'm Alex.
And this has been our podcast, Joel.